What's up, everybody? This week we talk about working weekends, Grace's reaction woes, and discuss the end of the world. Casual.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Straight Shot Studios podcast. This is Dale and Grace having another week. I have a question for you because Dale started doing 6-day weeks now. Straight Shot posts is Monday through Friday. Straight Shot Studios is Tuesday to Saturday. I am a person who has always worked or had school on Saturdays, so I don't have the concept of a 2-day weekend. Fridays I've always felt semi-TGIF, but I've always had something on a Saturday. But I'm curious for you, does it feel like TGIF, or do you feel like it's another work night?
Definitely feels like a weekend because it's only going to be the second weekend doing it. I'm just not expecting it. Last night I did have a moment where I was like, it's almost Friday, and then I was like, I'm working Saturday. So it's happening, I'm learning, but also I'm not holding myself to the highest of standards or expectations yet for my Saturday work. Why? Because I think it's unreasonable for me to be 100% of what I'm capable of when it's only my second week in. Just not used to it. I'm going to be home this weekend. Saturdays are actually casual work days anyways. The reason that we did this is two. One, I'm a weirdo. I wanted to work more, and at the same time I'm lazy. So this would be a way of forcing me to work more, and that's good. Just to be clear, that's what I want. So if I was capable of really being super self-motivated and whatever, I would just be doing it. But I'm not. So instead...
You'd just be doing what? What's it? Define it.
Working. Whatever manner that is towards my goals. Studios is a lot easier because it's making the best book or making the best Webtoons episodes, making the best YouTube content, working on thumbnails, reviewing videos, whatever. Straight Shot Post is very much now trying to get in marketing and sales and things I'm not really comfortable with. I would spend most of my 40 to 60 hour main week on that. With guidance. And then since Studios is a side project, treat it a little bit more like that and dedicate my weekend time to it. I would do more. I think at this point I'll be down to just work every day because I guess to be clear, I like it. So I don't want to get into a work-life balance kind of conversation when I'm the one who decides what that is, right? And so to me, I have goals, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I felt like we could move to a 6-day week for me, thing I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm excited about it. I think it went really well last Saturday. There's not that much time. It's quieter. There's nothing bothering me. There's no text coming in. I'm just one-on-one with a team member, viewing their content or giving them the feedback that they need. I kind of loved it, I'm not gonna lie, because also, again, because it's more casual, it's I could do whatever. I could be taking a break. Somebody needs me. I jump into a call. We get it going. It was kind of nice.
I like working on Saturdays too, and I'm not working on anything that's particularly moving my interests forward. My Saturdays used to be when I was in school as a kid, Japanese school. I'd go 9 a.m. to 2:30. It's a full day of school on Saturdays. And so I remember people hanging out on Fridays or having birthday parties on Saturdays, but I'd always miss out on that to go to Japanese school. At first, it was miserable. The first few years, I cried all the time. It was awful. And my friends were like, why don't you just quit? But, I stuck it out. I think I've talked about this before. By the last few years, it was so much fun. Again, I see it as, like you said, it's work, but it's not as serious. It's more calm. Once I let go of the expectation of getting perfect grades and I realized it's not a real school, not to throw shade on that school because New Jersey Japanese weekend school was awesome. Very, very solid education, I think. But I knew that, the grades didn't matter. So I was just getting 20s on tests. I didn't care. It was the expensive hangout just to brush up on my Japanese. So once I started looking at it like that, it started being fun because it felt productive and I was getting a kick out of it. And my later years of being in Japanese school on Saturdays, I started working at a restaurant afterwards. So I'd go to school 9 to 3 and then 4 to 10 or 11, I worked at a restaurant. And that was just because I wanted money to do my own things and I didn't want to ask my parents. So I started doing that. And so then when I went off to college, Saturdays, I just got a job at a restaurant and I've done that ever since. Worked Saturdays at a restaurant. The only time I didn't do that was in the pandemic. But now I do that. It is a legit job, especially this new restaurant I'm at. Shout out Fig and Olive. It's a yummy place. Because there's a lot of education there too. They expect us to know the wines. They quiz us us every week. They expect us to know every ingredient, allergen, and the foods, and the food is constantly changing with the season. So it is like a job, but at the same time, it feels like fun to me. So on Fridays, I still feel very TGI. Like today, I woke up, I was like, this is the last day of work. And tomorrow I have a full 12-hour shift, but it doesn't feel like I really do. I don't know why.
I think, it's really interesting because I would say food services are the thing that brought me like the most anxiety, the most fear, the most pain. Like it is definitely an area that I was not cut out working. I had very few service jobs. I think Quiznos for like a day. I like could not do it. Haagen-Dazs for like a month or two, I think. I just remember getting yelled at for like giving just like a little too much, I guess, to somebody. And it brought me such, anxiety. I would prefer if it was exact, so I could just like measure it, but like, whew.
The first few months, I would have immense anxiety, and I had a mental breakdown one day. I think it's the people, though, because the people at my restaurant are so wonderful. Everyone. I feel like they've had a good hiring track record of hiring. There have been a few questionable figures, but that plays a big factor in it. It's so supportive. And then also, I think I learned, though, to let go, because Fig and Olive in the meatpacking district in New York has a lot of tourists and upper class clientele, fancy clientele. So they can be very picky and mean, but I think learning to not care about that has been it's helped me a lot. Hopefully that'll help me with the hate on YouTube. But yeah, once I learned to let go, it's fun. If they're in a crappy mood, I'm like, screw you. Like, you're not ruining my day. I'm going to go get my coffee. I drink my coffee,
I think that my obsession with like getting something correct, I think it would be I don't know how I would handle it now. I'm in a much more, I'm sure I would hate it.
Do you mean
angry
customers?
If I worked in food service, or if I worked in something that was like that, yeah. I think I would know exactly how to handle situations, but I think it would cause me such pain. Like I would probably get through it, but hate it so much. Because I would not be able to, I know that I'm not able to be myself.
Interesting.
And I'm not big on people, so like, it's nice to have friends at a place, but I need to be good at my job. And I need to know what that is. Yeah. In my terms, and I need to be able to do that and kind of like do it my way, yeah. Which is always looking for efficiencies, always looking to get better. And it just reminds me of the few times that I did have just general office experience where, I always got into trouble for doing it a certain way, even if it was better or faster. Like statistically, it always caused troubles, and that's the feeling that I hated. Was like
better and faster confused. Statistically. What do you mean by that?
However, I was doing it.
Doing what? Editing?
Yeah, creating content.
Okay.
I was pleasing the client faster than the average person at said place, which I won't go into too many details, right? I was outperforming the average. On average, I was outperforming the market in terms of speed, and was getting requested back, and clients were happy, and it didn't mean anything. It hurt. It hurt because I was like, wait, isn't this the whole point? Isn't the whole point to get in, make great content efficiently, please the client so they come back to do more? Isn't that all I had to do? And the answer was no. You had to also get this person to like you, and not make this person feel bad that you are better than them, and not make this other guy feel weird because the girl he likes was talking to you down the hall. Like, that's what ended, it's like a whole bunch of stuff that you're just like, wait, what does that have to do? What does that have to do with my job? But it is a part of the whole thing.
That's interesting. I mean, because I've never been in that environment, but someone did recently say to me, because my restaurant, there's constantly new people, and there's different relationships happening. Not romantic relationships, but just relationships. Yeah, exactly. And then there's this one guy who said, he said, I see you, Grace. Like, everyone really likes you, but you're treading really lightly. And I was like, oh, I felt called out, because I guess that's what I do, because I don't want to press anyone's buttons. And being in the restaurant industry, I've met so many different personalities. It's
how to survive.
Wild. Yeah, I just know what person wants what, and what person not to interact with. It's like kung fu.
I think you can get a sense from me. I can recognize it,
but you don't
can't
care.
hold back. Yeah, it's just really hard to like bite my tongue when it's something is just could be better. And thankfully, when I'm here, I think you hear that phrase all the time. Didn't I say that yesterday? I said better is better. I remember walking up the stairs. I don't remember what it was. Oh, you know what it was? There's a piece that was coming. There's a YouTube short that was coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, which yet again, I'm not going to say anything other than technically I was right in some regards. So it's one of those things where the reinforcement, I'm reinforcing what it is it is making it better, I guess, right? Because you're seeing the guess, and then we're seeing the result of that guess time and time again starting to become more and more accurate. But basically, because that may not have made sense, we're working on a video. The video was about a dog. I'm just keeping it simple. Grace was
from
reacting
Naruto.
to an anime dog. Yes, Akamaru. Yeah. And it was sort of a funny, like we were trying to do something funny, which was that Grace was kind of popping off, kind of angry, but then she remembers the dog, and then it goes into this like in memoriam of the dog. It's very random, but we thought it was funny. So we decided to keep it, and so they put in a title card that said like in memoriam, but it looked weird, and the font was weird, and I just remember saying, "Hey," and I knew that I was gonna get pushback if I wanted to make more changes. So then I quickly ran through my head, like, what was the change that I knew was possible to make? Like, that I know that even if they push back, I'm not going to have a problem saying do it anyways, because I know the reality is they're pushing back for no reason. It's going to take 2 minutes. Yeah. So I did that. I said, hey, let's change it to subscribe for Akamaru or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, I know he can do that. Because there was more stuff I wanted to do with the piece, but, like, I was like, at least let's do that thing. There was pushback. I said, I don't care. Stay late, basically. Because I knew they weren't going to end up staying. See, that's the thing that we keep coming back to is like, so I know more than they do. I know what they're capable of more than they know what they're capable of. And so they push back. And honestly, I used to, maybe this is an interesting thing. I used to spend a lot of time trying to convince, hey, listen, it's not actually going to take you this long. This is why. But what I realized, like my new mantra for like this quarter, my goal for this quarter, to work with a lot more urgency. Now that's because we have to, but also because it's something that I've been hearing that I feel like I'm lacking, is a true sense of urgency. And I want to be able to instill that onto everybody at the team. So I think eventually I'll go back to that. But I think for now, the faster way to get them to realize things is to just power through, force it, and then inevitably when it does happen, they see it. So the title change came in. I forced them to make the change yesterday. And then also when we debated the titles, I also forced the title that I wanted, which was an experiment. The experiment of the title was, and somebody even said, oh, you're going to challenge the audience like that? Basically, the title is Subscribe or You Hate Dogs. Okay, that was the title.
It's so extreme. Yeah, but I love it.
Okay, but I think people are getting so nitpicky here about like they think it's gonna mean the world. If they don't like this title, it's gonna ruin everything. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's one YouTube short in early days. This is the time to be ballsy and experiment. We got 26 subscribers in 1 hour from that YouTube short. It wasn't even that high of a performer. It was a very mediocre performance, but literally, and remember right now we're trying to get to 1,000 to get monetized, and then subs won't matter as much, but obviously it's a vanity metric, and but it helps with brands, and it's good because it builds your, somewhat of an audience. You're more likely to obviously have your content pushed to your subs. So, but really we're about building community. Although right now it is just about getting the word out. So like, I was like, let's go bold. Let's go and push ourselves. And so I'm trying to kind of walk the walk, not just talk the talk here. But I'm being way more aggressive, I think, than I have been in the past 2 years, probably, about enforcing my expertise down the chain. I'm hoping that it'll work naturally and that they'll start to pick up on it.
Today we had a review for the shorts, for the YouTube shorts, and I don't know if this batch was specifically easy to make notes on or what, but it was so clear, because usually when we do reviews, you'd give notes and I'm like, wow, like what, how do you think of that? But all of these were things that I was thinking, and then you said it, and then I was like, whoa. So maybe it is, I mean, it's catching on. Yeah. It's very
I think
clear
so,
though.
man, because it's like osmosis. It's like repetition. Like I know how this works now, right?
It is
If you keep repeating the same things, eventually it's going to click. Right now, there might be so many different things that the editor is working on that he's missing a bunch. But I know if I keep hammering it in, the same fundamentals, he will inevitably, my voice is going to start popping into his head. You know how you've said that before? Like my voice will pop into your head here and there? Mm-hmm. That's it. I'm just hoping that when he's editing, he sees something similar to what he saw today, and he's like, oh my God, he already hear Dale. Let me address it now. And then as he's doing that, I think he'll start to understand why. And before he even understands why, he's definitely going to feel it. He's going to feel like it's better. Oh, this is smoother. Oh, this does click. Oh, the results do show. And then he'll start. So before it was like, make them understand why. But I'm realizing that's a me thing. Because I am very open-minded. I can have conversation. You know how it goes with me. We'll beat it to death, and then we never talk about it again because we figured it out. And I realize most people aren't really like that. They need to really feel the thing, you know? They need to go through the thing. They need to repeat the thing. You know what I mean? And so I have sort of changed some of the tactics.
Well, I mean, that's basically learning through action, learning through repetition. So, yeah, of course.
Yes. But even in that what I'm saying, that the nuance is I need to understand what I'm doing when I'm doing it. Otherwise, I get frustrated. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, and I can't.
But you do explain it, and then the editor is like, I understand.
Yeah, but then they make the same mistake again and again. So, like, I'm saying, like, I would sit
there.
Well,
I don't think it's a thing of.
But
I don't think it's a thing of they don't understand. I think it's they understand in that one instance, but they're not extrapolating into other instances.
Right.
And then it takes repetition to do that.
Right. Whereas what I'm saying is, I'm going through that. I take longer up front because I'm running through. I'm beating it into my brain, and then every time something comes up, I'm looking for whoop, 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 whoop. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different way of learning and exercising the things that you've learned.
Yeah.
Like, I'm big on upfront stuff. You know, there's a lot of stuff. Dale, you're reviewing so much content right now. I'm like, I've done this, did this with Snap. It doesn't last forever unless they don't pick it up. But I'm hammering in the same thing week after week after week. It's got to start to stick at some point.
Yeah. And what I think is interesting with the shorts is, for me, I mean, I'm not editing it, but when I think of content, because when I was in lockdown, I was making videos for myself for shits and gigs, and I would put it on like Instagram or whatever and YouTube. And at that time, I was so focused on making a full narrative, you know, beginning, middle, end. And then now it's so much about grabbing someone's attention in 2 seconds. And it's interesting because I am the target audience for kind of the target age group for the content that we're making. And I have that same attention span as our audience. So realizing my patterns with looking and how quickly I can click off, and realizing how important it is to have that best thing up front. You don't have to save it. Yeah. Is so interesting. And I see a lot of content creators doing the other way, where it takes a while for it to get good. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
See, that's it up front.
I think that's what
so
you're
interesting.
See, what you're saying is once you start to see it,
once I start to see it with myself,
it's hard to unsee it.
Oh yeah. I can't unsee it. Yeah.
So that's kind of what I mean, where I realized I can do that up front, but I think it takes a lot more repetition for most people to be able to actually start to like instinctively see the patterns. You understand? But that's my thing, right? I recognize patterns. That's a skill that I have developed and is also very like natural to INTJs, pattern recognition. So like that's kind of how I look at it, where I'm like, okay, what's the best strategy here to get other people see what I'm seeing as fast as possible? I used to think it was through just explaining it, and it's not. You know? It is literally by repetition and muscle memory.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't even have to get it in the beginning.
Right.
They just have to be like, oh, that's something feels weird, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it for now, you know? I'm like, okay, good. You know, so I'm a big believer in reps, and I'm a big believer in just literally repeating myself ad nauseum. until
I don't know which one I am. I think I'm both, because I like when you tell me to do, like, well, me as an assistant, when I make a mistake, I like when you explain me why in that instance it was a mistake. It's never black and white, because there's always so many. It's multidimensional. Mistakes I make.
Yeah.
Mistakes as in, like, I didn't order your food on time or something because there's this and that and this meeting and that dinner time. But I like when me personally, I like when you explain. I asked for it. I think it's helpful. So, I mean, I guess there's both.
Yeah, I think everybody wants it explained, but what I'm saying is
it doesn't stick.
Like, it's explaining,
but I feel like
not the most effective tactic.
Okay. I mean, at least in my brain, I feel like it comes, unless I've been making the same mistakes, but like it comes ringing in my head the next time something like that happens.
But I think this is a personality. Like, I think it's an individual thing. I'm just saying from my experience on a broader scale, working with different types of people. Yeah. Yeah. Like on an individual level, but I think we're alike in some of those ways, right? Whereas when I look broadly at all the different editors I've worked with, all the different producers, like I just find myself repeating the same conversations time and time again. You know, you look at what our training with Sophia on emails, how many times you want to go over it. Just you need multiple touch points.
With emails, I took multiple. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about
that.
Right?
Took me a lot. Still takes me a lot. Yeah.
And so it's just different modalities of getting something to stick. What I am saying is that because I want to move with more urgency, I think that I think the answer is to just let people make more mistakes. That's really what it comes down to. It's a newer thing, right? But yeah, I don't like micromanaging.
Does this come back to?
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
Does this come back to you need to mess it up? Because I always say you need to like mess it up. And
okay, yeah, you want to have the fight? Like
yeah,
no,
now I'm like this kind of proves it. For some people.
No.
It doesn't stick.
You're being an absolutist about it. Nobody needs to. They don't need to. Like, as in, like, it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, but it's more helpful if they do. They make the mistake and then redo instead of just knowing. That's literally what we're saying.
Yes, but they don't need to. You're saying like that's the way it has to be.
No, I'm saying that's the best way.
No, I'm just saying that's like the way. Like, obviously, if I could tell it to you once and you never made that mistake again, that's the better way. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's not how it works. You're saying so. I'm saying
in the real world with the personalities that I've met, but they're not trained to think they're not. I think you could be trained to, if you're trained to think a certain way and make decisions differently with different incentive structures.
Ooh,
and stuff,
you just went. That's interesting. Whoa, you just took it to like the reprogramming.
Yeah, that's what. But
your
I think
schema. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, I think it's totally possible, but like, who the hell?
You've kind of done that with my brain. Yeah. Like, I feel like I think like this when I'm at my restaurant, and then sometimes it's a little trippy. I'm like, whoa, I didn't need to think that deeply, but it saved me a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, it's not learning when to turn it on and off becomes the harder part, because you've seen me do it for shit that's not.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I know. Like ordering food.
Yeah. It's like unnecessary. I completely agree. But it's just like, because it's hard training now, essentially we're just talking about deduction, I guess. Like, everything can be broken down and deduced to have a good reason. We're just always looking for the optimal path, even if it's like how to cross the street, you know?
Yeah.
It's totally, the thing is, I think for a lot of people it would be super exhausting, you know? And they would just be, and like sometimes, but it's not that, when I do get exhausted, boop, I turn it off, I go watch anime. Okay. What was I doing when you came down here?
Playing games.
Exactly.
You're still like in your head being all like,
but that's why I suck at the game, you know, because I'm not. I'm just like, unga bunga, smash, hit button. Oh shit, I died. Restart. Like, I should be, you know, and there are other games like that but I'm talking about Genshin Impact right now. But like, basically, yeah, like I just literally like seeing the colors and the animations, and I'm trying, but like, it's not, you know, it's definitely where I go to completely turn off, to watch something good and try to just get immersed in that. Honestly, it's one of the few times. It's funny. this is going to be kind of an interesting thing. I guess I've never talked about this before, but like watching movies and shows, obviously it's like different, you know, it gets run through this, how did they do this? Why did they make that choice? Brain.
Yeah.
And I find that when I'm completely exhausted is when I can just enjoy a show. I just don't have the brain power to.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm just like, oh, that was cool, you know?
Yeah.
And then not have to worry about why did they make that lens choice? I wonder if they picked a different performance for that. Oh, I wonder why, you know, there's just, no thinking, really.
Wow.
I'm just enjoying the story. So, like, that's probably why I prefer to do that. Like today, right? I said I'm on. Remember, during lunch, we've been watching Tokyo Revengers trying to get our anime. And she was like, hey, are you throwing one on? I'm like, no, I'm on. I can't, like, I need to, like, see podcast stuff. I need to see something.
But then we watched Hot Ones. What were you analyzing there?
It's an interview show, the way he interviews. Remember?
Oh,
what did I say?
That.
Yeah. I was like, look at the way he mirrors. Yeah.
About the mirroring.
I know. See, that's what I'm saying. I knew.
How do you feel about the mirroring? Because I feel like that's, I don't know if that's something that you'd want to do. How would you feel uncomfortable doing that?
Me?
You, yeah. So I feel like you would feel like that's dishonest.
Yeah, it would be bullshit. Yeah. But I mean, but it worked. But I think I look at him and I know, because he's a master interviewer, that there's zero chance it's like.
Well, of course
it's
natural, works.
But there's zero chance it wasn't like a choice for him to. Oh, and you're gonna take the extra bite. I'm gonna take the extra bite. Oh, and when you say, like in this episode, Kieran Culkin was talking and a little piece of food came out of his mouth, you know, and he was just like, ugh, I'm gross, you know, and then immediately, what is his name? Evan Carmichael?
I don't know who he is.
The interviewer of Hot Ones. Yeah, he immediately was like, oh man, I'm making such a mess over here. Or like, don't worry, I'm making such a mess over something like that.
I never even thought about that. That always just
100%.
sounds so like natural, just like friendly,
totally
just
technique.
like.
I mean,
That's
it
wild.
might be his natural, like, come on. He's been doing this for 20 seasons. He's done 300 episodes. It's both. I'm not saying it's not like who he is. It's 100% technique too at this point, right? And it's just that's what mastery is. Instinct plus skill, you know, or so much skill that it becomes instinct. That to me is mastery. So no, I don't think he was consciously thinking, oh, I'm going to say this because he said that at this point. But I know that that's part of what it is. Mirroring and building rapport is like, that's his entire job, right? And you said it's in like, what, a 30-minute thing, a 45-minute thing. Never met the guy before, needs to get connected real quick. It's technique, 100%. So, yes, that's kind of what I meant, where I'm like, I don't know. I just knew if I was watching Revengers, I wouldn't be able to just sit back and have a good time like I did yesterday. For whatever reason. And it's probably because I was hyped up coming off the reviews or whatever. I don't know. You know? So it's definitely one of those brain on, brain off kinds of things. And to just wrap up this conversation about working an extra day, I found myself on the weekends wrapped up in my own heads too much. And so I feel so much like I really did enjoy last Saturday. This weekend, I probably won't be working as much on Saturday because I'll be home with my family. But, you know, it's something I believe in. For me. And the thing I'm working on Saturday is, you know, storytelling, our own content. So, you know, it's a bit different than what the Monday to Friday looks like.
You know, this reminded me of this. I want to talk about yesterday. I shot for the YouTube channel. I shot some content. I watched Spy X Family. And
hey, I want to mention something about that. I heard X, like in Japan, the X isn't really like an X.
Oh, yeah. In Japanese, it's Spy Family.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know. I guess. Okay, so I watched Spy Family. And I also read my first webtoon. And yesterday...
And reacted to it.
Live. And reacted to it, yes. It was me reading every line out loud. Read like a, you know, like live reading plus reactions. Live watching plus reactions. And yesterday, I was not in a chipper mood. I had just life happened, and I was not feeling well. And I was dreading doing it at the end of the day. And I was like, all I want to do right now is just go home and like cry in my bed. But now I have to shoot for 2 hours. And so my life hack of that was while I was doing my makeup, you know, blasting music and just dancing and forcing.
All makes sense now.
Why?
When you came in, I was like, are you going to do this with your AirPods in?
Yeah. That's why I had my AirPods in.
It's all connected.
And my hack is always, you know, getting my body so involved in the music, like really in it, in like really. I was listening to Bruno Mars, a lot of hyped Bruno Mars, and then also singing. I mean, this is an actor thing. If I could, I would do vocal exercises, but a lot of times it's not an appropriate environment when you're about to perform to be, you know, being loud and doing all the vocal stuff. So even if I just mouth it and if in my body, what do you call it? Imitate in my body and in my, like, so taking deep breaths as if I'm about to like release a loud noise, just doing that, going through the motions, but not really releasing a loud voice. Even that gets me very prepared to be vocal and in the zone and in my body. And so that helped a lot. And then once I jumped into it, it flowed so well. So I wasn't even thinking about the stuff that was weighing me down, and I was having a blast, and I zoomed through it. And then afterwards it hit again, and then I just died. I was like, oh, I felt so tired. But I hope I got to give a decent energy performance.
I think it's great what you just talked about, though, is like, not every day is going to be your best day. Not every day is going to come easy or be natural. But I think when you are developing your skill, your craft, that's what technique is for, right? It's like, okay, what are these quick tools? And I think we both are interesting. I feel like in different ways this episode's been about craftsmanship. One in sort of leadership and training, right? I'm doing new techniques, seeing if it's going to accelerate the growth process. So I'm trying also changing up my strategy. You have your toolbox that when you need to call upon it to get you to a certain place, it may not be the best, but it's going to be like, it's going to get you through it, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's really interesting. Now I'm really curious to see how it comes in. I mean, the best part about it, though, is like, you have to remember that it's a combo, right? It's gestalt. So the whole is greater than the sum of the pieces, like 2 + 2 equals 5, right? So essentially it's like, if you just got yourself there, let the editor take it to the next place, you know, the well, that was crazy, the light.
Yeah, what is happening? It's realistic.
That was wild. But like, you know, sorry, I'm gonna take a step back. So, you know, gestalt, 2 + 2 equals 5, it's that kind of thing where essentially it's like, you do what you can to get yourself to hit that, just get above that passing marker, right? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be an A+. You just got to get above passing for today. Let the editor come in, let the writers come in, let everybody else's feedback come in to try to elevate the thing, you know, to get it to be somewhat consistent. And I think that's what's kind of awesome and cool about
having a team,
kind of doing it. Yeah. I think it's something, at least just having one other person for feedback and thoughts, just somebody outside of yourself, because totally. I remember when you finished, I'm like, how did it go? You know, I think you thought better than you thought it was going to be is what it felt like. Mm-hmm. But, you know, but really it felt like you just kind of trusted that. You're like, I did what I could with my current ability, skill, and like, you know, where I am today. I did what I could. And I got to say, like, to me, that's what matters, right? Like, you brought the effort, you did your best, and we kind of like, accept that, you know. That's the hard part. I think a lot of people, I know I included, like, really struggle to just accept when it's not the best, you know. And that's been a big journey that I've worked on in the last few years.
It's hard for me right now. I didn't feel bad at all about yesterday, but also because it's one of the first few times we haven't given me notes on me reacting to an episode or a webtoon yet. So it was the blind test. Once we start getting notes and once I start getting better at it, then if I have a day like that, I feel like I would feel, once I've set an expectation, I feel like I'll feel bad. But yeah, yesterday was fine. Well, I'm not going to leave it at I would feel bad. I hope to change that and learn to accept. But it was interesting because Spy X Family, I mean, I surprisingly had a lot to say, even though I was watching it in English. We couldn't access the Japanese version, so I watched it in English. I had a lot to say language-wise and voice-wise. There were moments of me acting it out in English and also guessing what the Japanese would be, so that was fun. I was like, no, definitely they said it like this in Japanese, and if Sebastian, our editor, can find the clip, that'd be funny, and he plays it. I'm like getting a visceral about the webtoon. The webtoon, that was my first time reading a webtoon.
What webtoon?
It was Not So Shoujo Love Story.
Not So Shoujo Love Story. So it's a romance. Classic.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Romance?
I guessed. I was like, this is going to be the most shoujo romance. But it was...
Oh, is shoujo
a
genre?
It's like the opposite of shonen. It's like girly romance. Oh. Yeah.
But still with like a hero and like an epic journey?
It's just a genre. It's a genre. How shonen is. Yeah, it's not.
Oh, it's not like a play on shonen.
No. It's like shonen is for the dudes, shoujo is for the girls, generically said. You know, it was just so. I don't think I've ever consumed content like that. Girl pining after this guy, and then this like loser girl pining after a guy, and then this guy? The guy's cool guy. Cool guy is pining after popular girl. Popular girl is pining after not cool girl. It's like a triangle.
One more time. It's a triangle and an LGBT thing.
Yes.
See, that's huge on the platform too.
The little the little jokes were so profane, and they were Japanese jokes, but in English, and I was like, whoa, what the? It just felt so odd to me because the guy's name, the popular guy's name is Handsome Ochinchin, like handsome first name, Ochinchin last name, and he has a big chin, like a really ridiculously big chin.
It's a satire.
Ochinchin means penis in Japanese. Yeah, immediately I was like, oh, this is what we're getting into. This is what we're getting into. There's poop jokes. It was not my cup of tea. But I have to say, I had a lot of fun reading it out loud, and I didn't think that would be a fun thing for me I thought I was just gonna be cringing, but I leaned into the cringe and acted with the cringe, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see how it turns out.
So we hear a lot of that kind of content seems to be. Oh wait, can you at least say the punchline? It's a very popular show, webtoon, right?
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah, it has a 9.4 out of 10, 40 million views.
But it's a comedy, right?
It's a comedy, yeah.
Yeah. So you just didn't find it that funny?
No, but I do think I laughed sometimes. Yeah, no, but sometimes there's a punchline and I was like, no, not for me. No.
I am really interested to see how it turned out, but it's one of those things where, I guess that's what makes me a little nervous about entering the space is like, we want to serve the audience as best as we can.
Right, because I know that there are people, I'm sure there's a huge audience for it.
It's very popular on a lot of these platforms, right? So
yeah,
I think our show does have funny moments, but I look at it and it's definitely a more mature vibe. It's not like slapstick, and it's also not like, it's kind of more realistic than a lot of the stuff that we're seeing on the platform. I don't know if it's going to have its place here, we'll see. But it's definitely interesting, and I hope we find our audience,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So interesting. So you had an interesting week of shooting. That's good to know. Like, it's funny. I try to stay out of it for the most part and just kind of let it happen.
I was doing the intros, and then Dale's like, okay, what about we give it another take? And I was like, you're listening to me from outside the door?
Honestly.
If you see the videos of me when you're giving me notes, I'm like.
That's so funny. I mean, here's the thing. Just for those parts. Because I'm like, that's the part that...
Yeah, that I suck at intros.
Oh, no,
it was good.
I did not
No, I know you didn't say that,
you
but
did a great one for the Cowboy Bebop, and I was like, why isn't she just doing that one again?
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, let's just keep it really simple in the beginning. I think that's it. You just overthink it. But yeah, I think you're doing great, and I'm sure we'll have more to talk next week when I see some of these some of these cuts.
I'm really excited to see.
So yeah, stay tuned for that. Ready to wrap it up? The life hack this week actually came from a meeting with one of our clients, which is just an interesting thing that it's so simple, and I don't know why I never thought about it. Basically, we were talking about agency reps, like representatives, for advertising, managers, agents, those kinds of things. And I feel like it's such a weird, mysterious thing because you're like, what is a sales rep for, someone like Ogilvy and look like, I'm like, is that even like a title that they have on their LinkedIn? And he was like, you'd be surprised. But what I do is I go to the big production company's website, and usually on their contact page, if you're going to like as if I was to hire that production company, he's a production company himself, he wouldn't do that, but he goes there and he's like, that's where you can find who their rep is. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. So you can find reps by just putting yourself, in a client's case and contacting the rep directly. It's just, you never think to do it like that way, I guess. I don't know. It's so simple and blew my mind. So now I'm like, oh, yeah, that makes total sense. So now we're just going to have an intern go on everybody's website, get all the contacts for all their reps. Then we can find them on LinkedIn and connect. Questions? Where do I want to?
Lighthearted? I feel like you've been lighthearted.
See, but now if I think you want something deep, I'm not going to give it to you, So now now that you said that, I might just do it.
You might, but then also because, you just bounce back. I don't know where you're going to land.
Exactly. I'm just going to flip a coin, basically, is what's going to happen.
Oh, God.
From what you've seen so far in Death Note.
Oh.
Where do you think the plot is going?
Oh, no. I hate these kind of questions.
Why?
I
You don't
really
want to make a prediction?
No. I'm not a plot person.
Fine.
I suck at making plot. I suck at predicting plot. I suck at even grasping the plot that's currently happening in front of my eyes. Like, I'm notorious for that. I get lost in the details.
Fine. Who's your favorite character so far?
Oh. I haven't seen anyone.
Oh, really?
I've seen Light and...
All right, how about in Spy Family then? Because I think you've met everybody, the three, right?
No, I only met the dad and the child.
Oh, okay.
I haven't met the mom yet. I made predictions about the mom, though, in the video.
Oh, I'm curious.
I guess the thing, the way I was going with it was, so I said it could go two ways. It could be that three ways. It could be that she's exactly like the dad, but then I think that would be no fun because then it's just that girl fighting for love from two people. It could be that the woman is exactly more like the girl. So then the guy has like two headaches and he's like, oh my God. And then like they'd band together to make him open up and love them or something. And the third option, I was like, is she somewhere right in between? And then I like stood there thinking, what is right in between the two? So I don't know. I said that I feel like she's going to be spunky in some way. That's where I concluded. I feel like she's going to be spunky in some way. But I
think you will be satisfied.
Okay. Cool.
Because they... yes. We'll see how you feel about it. That was fun. That was worth it for me. That gave me what I wanted, just to get a sense of what you think.
Okay.
But Death Note, I'm gonna be bugging you a lot more because Death Note's all about the twists and turns, and I would love to see.
Not gonna lie, Death Note was a little harder to follow without subtitles. Like even Japanese subtitles would be helpful because I feel like that's with anything. I feel like serious things I need subtitles to support. I'm not a plot person.
Yeah,
I can't follow.
I will allow it because it definitely is like there are definitely times where you're like, they're talking about somebody from 7 episodes ago who dropped like a handkerchief and I don't even remember the handkerchief and like yeah, it's like it's definitely a thing. Attack on Titan is a lot like that too.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that. You will get a pass. I will allow it.
In English or in Japanese?
Whatever you need.
Oh, okay. I mean, okay, cool. My question is, this is dark. What is, not too dark. What is the scariest natural disaster for you and why, in your opinion?
I'm going to do the lame answer and then I guess I'll think about it. The lame answer is like if a meteorite hits the earth, we all die. So
that's interesting. I don't think that's a.
Oh, really?
I think that works. I mean,
man, yeah. Okay. If that's like.
Because some people would argue that that's the least scary because it's just immediate.
It's not immediate though, unless you're in the impact zone.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. Then you go into just look at what happened to the dinosaurs, bro.
I don't
Then
know what
you're-
happened to. Well, I know.
What?
Okay, wait. I know what happened to them. I don't know
spoiler you.
how it happened. I don't know.
She's an adult, I swear.
No, I know a meteor hit and they died, but I don't know.
You get into ice ages and all that, bro. It changes all the
Wait.
weather, the whole nine.
Wait, that I didn't know. I didn't know that the meteor sent.
The meteor is the beginning. Watch Evangelion. That's another right. The meteor is just the beginning, bro. Because that shit could move the Earth off its axis. It's a whole bunch. Make a spin
Whoa.
differently. Yeah.
See, this was valuable. I learned something. I didn't know. I thought
Oh
the
my
world would
gosh.
just end if the meteor hit.
If it was a big enough meteor, but the most likely scenario would be something like the dinosaurs, right? Where it changes the whole climate. Maybe 10% of the world survives, type of thing. So, yes, if we're talking about natural disaster, that is by far the craziest, scariest one, because that's the one that to me is like, there's no coming back. Like that's like your Armageddon, day after tomorrow scenario that you're just like, oh God, what do we do? Natural disaster that's like more something we deal with every day. So that's like hurricanes, tornadoes. Hurricanes are actually pretty. I mean, Grace is how is it not going to be like flooding? Because for me, like I went through a flash flood. I think that is some of the craziest stuff. If it's not flooding, fires, tsunami.
You're listing all of them. No, I'm terrified of tsunamis. I think that's
Tsunami is from. So you're saying earthquake, but yeah. Tsunami is another. That's an end gaming one. I just don't see it because we're over here where it's not going to really happen over here. Tsunamis are pretty scary, but I'm not as scared of a tsunami because it's kind of a preventable one. Like, don't move in that area. I just wouldn't live there, so it doesn't reach my mind because I'm not. If my brother sees this, he'd be laughing because we're the same. We're both paranoid like that, so we just wouldn't live there. I wouldn't live near a coast that has a big issue with like hurricanes or tsunamis, but we got flooded up here regardless, and that messed me up. I'm gonna have to say I think fire probably. That is pretty freaking scary, and smoke or whatever. I think that's crazy.
yeah.
And that can happen anywhere. Why are you so?
It got me thinking about this because this morning there was the red flag warning. Yeah, which I didn't know what it was, and it said severe warning that in New York the temperature is high and humidity is low and there's no precipitation, meaning that we're at hazard for fire. And then immediately I heard a fire engine in the morning. That was like how I woke up. So my mind has just been on that. It's a little freaky. Yeah.
It is freaky.
Yeah.
And
I looked on the map and all of New York and Long Island are in red. It's just red. It says like red flag. So I was like, oh my God. It's freaky.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, if you like and want more morbid conversation, shoot us a follow and a like. We'll be sure to keep up with it. Thank you all for watching so much this week. We'll be back next week. Have a good one. Work hard, be nice, and as always, keep changing. Thank you very much, guys. Peace.